Good, man. So, what episode is this?
This is episode 11.
Episode 11, No Cap Radio. We got Domi Jones, of course, that's me. We got Eazy in the building.
All right, yo.
And you know, we always want to educate and be educated. So that's what we doing, and we bring these guests on the show with the intention of them teaching you something. So today we got Councilman of Fredericksburg, Virginia, our hometown, Councilman Chuck Frye, and Vice Mayor.
Right.
Can't leave that off. So hopefully he can drop some jewels on y'all. Y'all can learn something and see the work in the community that he's been doing, and maybe other communities can kind of, you know, I feel like that positive energy is contagious, you know. So I think that's it's always important to know what other folks are doing, raise awareness so that we can apply these things in our daily lives, however, in the work that we do. So without further ado, Councilman Chuck Frye.
We good. I might cut that off. That might be too bright.
Yeah, you see how I look in there, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna cut it off. I tried to help y'all out. I was trying to represent.
Hey, it was looking good, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Well, man, I was hyped. I was hyped for y'all, man. I was like, y'all got something I can do.
Oh yeah, you know we gonna have it on our backdrop.
All right.
All right, hold on. Let me get this joint off. There we go. All right, we good.
Yes, sir, man. Well, thank you for coming, you know, joining us for a second time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And Happy New Year to you again, man. So, you know, I know you got a lot of stuff you want to share with this audience, man, with the work you're doing. So we want to, you know, of course, Fredericksburg know who Councilman Frye is, right? But a lot of our audience that's not in Fredericksburg don't know. They don't know you, Councilman Frye of Fredericksburg, Virginia, the 4th Ward. They don't know you, Vice Mayor. So can you share a little bit of your background with the audience and the city itself?
Yeah. Let me try to zip through it as fast as I can. Lifelong resident of Fredericksburg, Virginia. I was born in Savannah, Georgia. Let me get this straight. I got some difficulties behind me. Let me fix that. But my dad was in the military. I was born in Savannah, Georgia, but my family's from right here. So luckily, as soon as I was born, about a week later, we were right back here in Fredericksburg. So I grew up in Bragg Hill. And then after Bragg Hill, moved to Mayfield in the city of Fredericksburg. And, you know, the family laid their roots right back down where they were from. And what you have is me. And long story short, you know, I absorbed everything that was going on in this city. One thing, I didn't go to college. One thing that I absorbed in the 9th grade was civics. And when I sucked civics in, I was real interested in how things go, because civics was something that you could see around you. And everything you learned in civics, you could pretty much get on a school bus, go home, and see everything that you just learned in that class. And it really drew me in back then. As I got older, I just decided to apply myself. So I'll leave it at that, and then I'll let you get with the questions for. I don't like to be boring because my energy is too high.
Man, keep it high, man. That's what we like. But look, before we go into any questions, I appreciate the background. But every time I hear, I've always been wondering since high school, man. 3rd Ward, 4th Ward. All I think about is old Cash Money video or something. So what is the 4th Ward? Tell us what that is.
So, hey, when I hear wards, right? When I hear the word ward, I always think about the ghetto boys myself. because you always heard something about Ward in their raps, right? So,
Yeah.
but the fourth ward in the city is pretty much let's go back, some years. It's the minority, it's a majority minority ward, is what it was. And the fourth ward was always the minorities, no matter what, no matter how it was drawn up. So for instance, in the city right now, my ward goes from Mayfield through historic downtown to Bragg Hill, to River Road, to Riverside Manor. So everything on the water side of the city is mine.
Man.
Plus down the middle of the city. So
so
everywhere where the minorities were living,
they found a way to get Bragg Hill and Mayfield, even though they on separate sides in the same ward.
That's right, majority minority, and that's how it was. So that's how the old lines were drawn. You'll learn now about about how lines are drawn. It's more out there now. But it's a majority minority ward, and that's what Ward 4 is, and that's what I am. So yeah. I don't want to go in too deep on everything because I get too deep, but I'll try to leave it for folks to try to do a little research on some of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, speaking of research, we did a little bit, man, and people may not know you were behind the renaming of the bridge that takes you to Bragg Hill. That has been renamed Dr. MLK Jr. Memorial Bridge now. So you were behind that. How did you get that done?
Well, I did it at a meeting, at a council meeting, and it was a constituent request. It was a request from a guy named Mr. George Gray, who lives in Mayfield, and he tried to do the whole Fall Hill as a request, and he just kind of threw it out there like, hey, let's change the name to Fall Hill when they were working on that bridge. And long story short, he came to the council meeting, and I took the lead on it, and and proposed it to council on the spot. And we didn't end up with Fall Hill Avenue. The bridge was under construction at that time, so we ended up long story short, we ended up with the bridge, and we got it. Simple as that. And it's proof that if you have somebody there that's fighting for something, that's going to stick to it, you can get things accomplished. Now we're in the city of Fredericksburg. This is the home of George Washington, right? This is the first president. We don't have a George Washington bridge. You got what I'm saying? So nobody took the lead on the George Washington bridge. Right. Somebody took the lead on the MLK bridge, though. Yeah, and you looking at them. So let's go.
Right. I see.
Yeah. So which is cool because and it had to be a council decision, which means it's something that's presented. Even though I'm not going to give up the fight, it's something that's presented that the council agreed to. So I can say I all I want, but without the moving factors, you're not going to get nothing done. But I think with a lot of dedication, and folks will kind of nod their head and say, wait a minute, that's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had asked me earlier, he was like, why are the MLK boulevards always next to the hood? You know what I'm saying? Is that coincidence or how?
Because somebody in the hood was fighting for it, that's why.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the history behind that.
You wouldn't catch me fighting for the you wouldn't catch me fighting for the presidential slave owner for a bridge.
Yeah, well, you done did a lot of things, Chuck. I think one thing that you hold closest is that the gun give back. Tell us about that, how that came about, and
yeah, the gun give back is one of a kind. It came from me witnessing well, not witnessing, but as a kid I did witness a murder. So I want to have, I say that on record. When I was in the 3rd grade, I witnessed a murder. And I didn't realize till I got older that how much it affected me. But what happened was I was a grown man raising my family, and shootings kept happening. And so that was my driving force to run for council, because it became normal. And I was like, how is this normal? that it keeps happening. So I came up with this idea of if folks could turn the gun in and just turn it in. And long story short, the General Assembly had changed the rules. You can look all this stuff up. Where years when I was a small kid, I remember big cities. I remember New York's and DC's and Richmond's used to do gun turn-ins or whatever you want to call it, gun buybacks or whatever. We have a gun give back in the city, which is a different verbiage. And what back in the day in inner cities, they used to have opportunities for folks to turn guns in to get them off the streets. And the General Assembly had changed those rules. And I studied all of that. And I knew this before council. And I was like, hey, if I could do this, I would. And you had to go through gun dealers at that time, the way that they changed the rules. So long story short, I figured we have a sheriff's department, we have a police department. So we've got a double, we got a double here. We have two departments that work with weapons. No matter what, if you call, you got two departments. And in the counties, you got one, you got a sheriff's office. In the city, you got two. So, I pitched the idea and said, hey, this is what needs to happen. And I had the opportunity to do that as a councilman, not as a resident, right? So I did it as a councilman saying, hey, this is something I think should happen. And really without question, it just turned out happening. And that came from me having a seat at the table and knowing the issues. And it was really no pushback, a lot of drama and negativity in the background. And I pushed that out. And long story short, what you have is a Fredericksburg gun give back. We're in our 6.5 year, and I say half because we had a snow day one time that we canceled because it started snowing really bad one morning about 2 years ago. And I posted up at the police department, and another officer just posted up in the parking lot, in his patrol car. And we canceled it, a couple of hours before because of the snow. We didn't want folks to come out in bad weather. And I think on that day we collected 10 guns or something like that. And that's when we canceled it. So I always use that as a half because we turned around and redid it. And, we pulled in more guns, but we're close to 200 guns right now on a voluntary basis. And it's a no questions asked. And pretty much the way I see it is if you have a weapon that you shouldn't have in your possession, you'll be likely to use that weapon in a crime. And who gets affected more in a crime by an unregistered or a weapon that somebody's not supposed to have? It's our folks. And it's proven. I'm not making this up, it's proven. So we have a don't ask, don't tell policy where you can just turn in a weapon and just get out of here. And it's the only one of its kind.
To my understanding, a lot of these guns that were given back were stolen guns. Is that correct?
They don't ask, don't tell.
Okay.
These weapons are turned in for whatever reason. For weapons.
Right. So in theory, this is to clean up the street, get the guns off the street.
That's right. More like a street sweeper scenario. Yeah, and these weapons are turned in on a voluntary basis for anybody who has a weapon that, maybe their family member shouldn't have it, or maybe they shouldn't have it. Maybe somebody's a felon. Maybe granddad passed away and the weapon's in the shed or in the closet. It's different scenarios, but I'm not at liberty to speak on why people turn them in. I will say that I have received guns in the midnight hour by a phone call. Somebody's called me and, I received a gun, folks saying, hey, things are not how they should be and I want to get rid of this weapon. And I've received them just like that. And I can't tell you what that was. So
Chuck, since Democratic Governor Northrup took office, Virginia has become more and more progressive. For instance, the decriminalization of marijuana last year and now proposals for legalizations by 2023. What role does local government play in the progression of Virginia?
Local government plays a big role because mainly the governor has a lot to prove as well. Don't give him a pass by the work that's being done. The local government plays a role because we're the go-to folks that they try to lag onto when they're trying to push something, right? So I will reverse that to the last conversation. when does the governor push for gun give backs? so I'll push that question back to you.
You said when it become a problem?
Government plays a role. Hey, everybody got to be accountable.
Yeah. Okay.
So being an elected official, to answer your question, now you good. Being an elected official, of course, we're the target of support, right? For support for whatever the higher up official wants for support. But it's got to work both ways. You know, I'm a realist, so I could care less what's being pushed on a bigger platform. If you're not supporting what I'm doing in Fredericksburg, you're gonna have to prove to me what you're gonna do in the state.
So do you feel that y'all not getting the support y'all need from the state level?
You don't hear about the gun give back around the state of Virginia. You just hear it from me.
So speak for itself, huh?
Mass shootings and what people should do, you know. So that's my opinion. I can't change how I feel about it, you know.
I feel like the role that you're doing is basically helping Virginia become more progressive and you know, not be the old Virginia that it has always been. But I think all of that plays a role, and I feel like if they were to really get wind of what y'all doing and trying to do, then you know, the folks on that state level would, you know, be willing to give a hand. Or
well, this 6.5 years, so they know, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's
this
been long
6.5
enough.
years, they know.
You know
of what?
Of the gun give back.
That's not a question.
Okay.
Of the gun give back, that's 6.5 years.
Okay.
So you can't tell me that folks don't know. It's just what's popular at the time is how I see it. And I blast folks all the time about the non-support, but it gives me the energy to push it harder as well. You know what I'm saying? There was a shooting down at Virginia Beach, or don't let me say it wrong, but at the city hall down there, right? And you heard all kinds of talk about what should happen with guns at that moment, but I haven't heard it since.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of it's an in the moment kind of thing.
I'm just keeping it real, because if we get, and the simple equation is, if folks are dying in the hood, who cares? And if you don't care, you show by not doing nothing. It's simple as that to me.
Yeah.
So if it ain't your folks dying, then you don't care.
So
I care. I care if you die in the hood, the office. I care wherever. You know, I'm limited on what I can do, but my work can speak for itself. That's how I see it.
But
which means, you know, a one man can make a difference.
But see, you were also part of the whole legalization of marijuana. You was with the team that even got it up to the governor's level, though, right? So it is starting at your level, and then it's been. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I worked on the Human Development and Education Committee for the Virginia Municipal League some years ago, and it's all documented. And the decriminalization of marijuana and all of that was coming apart because it was geared to minorities, you know, and all of that. And so that was part of it. My fight at that moment was opioids was a crisis, you know, but minorities going to jail wasn't a crisis, and that was my fight. So if you want to compare drug to drug or opioids to marijuana, you know, opioid folks got help, and marijuana folks went to jail.
Yeah.
So if you take it to a bigger level, cocaine folks got smacked on the hand, and crack folks went to jail. It's up to you. It's up how you want to look at it.
Yeah. So I still feel like the whole, it really just comes down to that money, right? And being able to tax it now. They see the financial benefit of legalizing it, or you know, decriminalizing it either way. It's still leading up to legalization, and now they getting behind it for their own financial gain, but not really to help the minorities or anything like that. What's your thoughts on that?
Because you said you smelled something. There's no smell test that goes to court.
Right.
So it should eliminate a lot of unnecessary, you know, I'm not promoting drug use, but it should eliminate a lot of unnecessary approaches for your average guy. You know, you could be just getting off work, you know, at a coffee shop, and somebody could say, I smell marijuana, I want to search you.
Yeah.
What's the proof that somebody smells something, you know?
So we back on No Cap Radio here with Chuck Frye, Vice Mayor of Fredericksburg. And Chuck, I know another big thing in Fredericksburg was the slave block. And you know, a lot of people were up in arms about that because you know, for the removal, it was going back and forth. We didn't know if it was getting removed or not. What's the history behind the slave block in Fredericksburg, and why is having it or was having it removed so important to you?
Well, the history is that I brought it to the table some years ago, a couple years ago, and it wasn't removed. And we had a plan to break it down real quick for you. We had a plan to do public engagement and so on and so forth. Everybody knew I wasn't going to give up on it. There was a 6-1 vote against me for removing the vote on the first go round. So I was bringing it back to the table. By the time we made time to get it back around to the table, it was a 6-1 vote with me. And it was set for removal. Once it was set for removal, because time is really flying. Once it was set for removal, then you had local businesses and property owners that were suing the city to keep the slave block there for monetary reasons. So that was a couple court battles. Yeah, that was a couple court battles that went on, and then once it was set that they lost their battle after I would say the second case or maybe the third case to be exact. Once they lost that battle, we were right at the first stage of COVID, and nobody knew what COVID was at that moment. And so it was slated to be removed, but it couldn't be removed because at that point in time, folks couldn't work in close proximity to each other due to COVID, because it was a mystery at that time. So when the first phase was set for COVID or the second phase, whichever it was, I can't remember exactly how it was, but it was a certain date for that. And just so happened that date for the governor's first phase or second wave, whatever it was called at that moment, just happened to be a week after, or a week and a half or so after Black Lives Matter was taking over the whole world. So a lot of folks thought that it was being moved because Black Lives Matter protests and stuff were ending up at the slave block. But really we were waiting on the governor's call where, you know, folks could be in the same proximity with each other. So the morning of the governor's release, you know, for the first wave or whatever that was called at the moment of that, it was removed that morning. Okay. And it already went to court, you know, months before. So that's the long-standing history. I'm with you.
You made a comment. You said business owners didn't want to move for monetary reasons. Well, expand on that if you don't mind. I'm curious about that.
Right. They said they make money on the slave block being there. I won't go into the businesses because I don't want to give them no. I don't want to promote them by any. Yeah. They said folks come in this area to see slave block and they make money when they spend money at their locations.
Oh man.
Pretty much.
So they saw this as like a tourist attraction.
They said that they would lose money. It's a tourist attraction. It's a, you know, I call it I don't know, you can call it a comedy block for folks that believe in racism.
Yeah, it's a mockery.
You know, somebody come to laugh and ha and point fingers, you know, at our expense.
Right.
Yeah, and I heard that's what really had you fired up when you was in that council, that meeting, you know, expressing your feelings behind it. You brought up a story about somebody laughing, making a mockery of it. You know, like you had a fiery speech, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, hey, I put my heart on the line too many times, I think. But it's real. It's real though, you know.
You just show the passion behind it.
Hey, it's getting it done.
Yeah.
But another thing you mentioned were the protests. So I know there was a lot of like confusion behind the protest in Fredericksburg during that time, right? The whole this was during the pandemic and when the Black Lives Matter movement was really exploding. So what do you think the No Cap radio audience need to know about the real? What do you want them to know the true story behind it, and how all of that was about?
Well, the movement was a national movement, and everybody who moved locally, what I saw as a representative, right? Because I live here, this is my heart. So, you know, like some of the things I'm talking to you about, we'll be talking about today, like you know, it's kind of hard for you to come in here and battle a certain situation here when I got an MLK bridge here 2 or 3 years ago, right? Yeah. So you ain't talking to me if you got drama, you got a problem. You're not talking to me because I'm already fighting, you know. But what happened was we learned that, you know, with all the counties around, that the city absorbs a lot of the issues of the surrounding counties, you know, which makes a region. So a lot of things that people dealt with personally, they were bringing it to the city. It wasn't necessarily city issues, because anybody can tell you I'm on top of those type of issues. So pretty much people were crying out is my perspective on it. And me as a representative, I was there, you know, throughout the whole process. When I say throughout the whole process, I was there, like really there. So instead of me getting in front of it, I had to absorb, you know, as a leader, I had to absorb what was happening and figure out how to address all the issues. And that's where we are now. We have a long-standing plan that the city has, but I want to say this plan was set before before the protest. And I'm telling you, you won't find many localities that had what we had in store before, you know, before a protest hit, because we were already working on issues. So for anybody that came to the city, and if your zip code is not in the city, if you didn't go back to your representative where you lay your head at, then you didn't do anything. If you have an issue where you live at and you didn't talk to your representative in your county, because I'm in the city, and if you're in the county and you didn't holler at your representative, you wasted your time. You just made noise in my city that I'm already addressing. Right. But I respect everybody that came that showed issues about the city, because I can handle those issues. I can address those issues. But if you go home and something is wrong where you live at and you didn't approach it where you live at, you didn't do anything.
So wasn't the basis behind
if you don't like it, what's going on where you live at, why don't you take somebody's seat?
So was the basis behind the protest just the defunding of police, or was it much deeper than that? And if so, what are your thoughts on that?
The George Floyd and all of that, it came to a head, and I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody fighting. I'm just speaking on it. Long story short, I'm just speaking on, if you live somewhere and you have a problem and you didn't approach your representative and you didn't make an impact where you lay your head at, if you have kids, if you didn't, and your kids are in school, if you got a problem with the schools, you need to be putting those issues to where you live at. So that's first and foremost. Don't go with the crowd because the crowd joined in downtown. You know, you got to go back to the courthouse where you live at and figure it out too. Don't come to me, because I can handle what you bring to me that's in the city. But overall, from Rodney, when I was a kid, it was Rodney King. and the police beating them up, and all of that stuff. So we go to where Trayvon Martin is happening, and we go to George Floyd's, and every other name that you want to throw in between, right? I'm glad that it hit the fan the way it did. It should have hit the fan the way that it did. For whatever the opinions of how people want to approach it, I think they need to do more research in their locality before they scream out what's happening nationally. Because we don't have the same problems as a bigger city or New York or whatever. But you need to approach your issues, because you might have an issue of dirty cops where you live at. So if I got dirty cops where I live at, or a dirty administration, I want to talk about where I'm at, not what's happening in Chicago or DC or Maryland.
Right. Yeah.
That's a waste of time.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious that you 10 toes down out
So
here.
if you ain't going to approach a guy that's over, don't talk about what's happening in LA.
Right. Right. We definitely appreciate how passionate you are, involved. Go ahead, Chuck.
Now, what I wanted to say is, if listen, it's that simple. If I'm sitting here talking to y'all and I have a quote position, the simple thing is if you don't like what's happening where you are, take the seat. Mm-hmm. You don't have to complain. You can take the seat. If enough people agree with you, you're gonna get the seat.
Right.
Man.
So look, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect, because like I said, we appreciate what you're doing, your passion, making sure things are being changed within the city. So tell us, what's the best way for us to get involved in the government and to make a change?
Take the seat. Become a councilman.
All right. Look, if we start from the ground up, then we gotta start small, Chuck.
That ain't for everybody. It can't be for everybody.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna give you my view on something that people might not agree. But a lot of times when you work on things on a community, wide effort, then you'll have old school folks or something that say, well, do a petition and see how much support you get, right? But if you do a petition, you just gave all your opposition enough energy to knock you down when you brought your position, your petition to the table. So why do a petition? How much is it? How long has a petition worked for our folks over the years? All you're doing is bringing awareness of whatever movement you got going on.
Right.
Take the seat. Take the seat.
Take the seat.
Yeah. If you stand for something, then the folks gonna roll with you.
Yeah.
Well, there y'all go, man. That's Chuck Frye influencing y'all to take a seat in politics, get involved, and be the change. That's really what I get from you, though. It's just being the change that you want to see.
Listen. How many elected officials do you know? Tell me right now, real quick. How many elected officials do you know?
No, we done had two on the show, right?
Yeah, it's one.
One on the show.
Two with Chuck.
Okay. So if that's how many you know, how many people can tell you what you need to do? If you're not talking to a group of elected officials, you got what I'm saying? Because you don't have enough. So everybody has their opinion on how you should do something, but how many elected officials can tell you that? So don't tell me something that you haven't done yourself. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what group, organization, I don't care who it is. If you haven't did it, you can't tell me. I'm living proof.
So when someone do have a issue, a Fredericksburg resident, and they have an issue with something that's going on in the city, you are not the guy for them to come to. You saying they need to get a seat on in the council themselves?
Nah. I am the guy that you can come to. But what I'm saying is, as a whole, we don't have enough minority representation on these positions all over, right?
Right.
And that's because people think it's a certain way or they're scared of failure. If you know what I should do, right? If you know what I should do to handle a situation, you might be better off at this position than I am.
Okay.
You may as well take the seat from me.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Handle issues, but how can I inspire you two guys, right? By telling you it's a certain way. That's not inspiring to you. I'd rather inspire you telling you that you can do it as well.
Yeah, that's a slogan, Chuck. Man, Chuck Frye said, take
don't
the
waste
seat.
your time complaining.
Right.
A seat at the table, man.
Yeah.
Hey, if you doubt yourself, don't even complain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely gonna take courageous individuals, man, to make the change that we all want to see come about. But it starts with us, you know. And once again, you know, we want to highlight and recognize folks like yourself that are on the front lines doing the work for the black community. Well, not just the black community, but the community altogether.
Right.
But I know you have us in mind when you're doing it. That's why I say that.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to share is folks like yourself give a platform to speak to the black community and the people to let them know that we have them in mind in our actions and what we're doing. So that's really what we want to embody.
If I'm you know, let's say third, fourth generation, right? Fredericksburg, right? Myself. So that means that you know, up to my parents, they couldn't vote up until a certain point. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me to be sitting here when I've got ancestors that fed me the fuel for life and they couldn't vote, that's real. That's real. And I'm sitting on a spot where they didn't even have a voice to vote at one time.
Yeah.
And if I forget them, what am I doing? Come on, man. We got too much at stake to be sitting there riding a horse, man. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. Well, yeah, man. I think that ran through all our questions we got.
Yeah.
But you know, I think folks got your message though.
Yeah.
And they know what we need to do. And you know, we want to congratulate you on all the work that you have done. And any way we can assist or help, man, let us know, man. You know you always welcome back to the show, No Cap Radio. And thanks for coming on today, most definitely.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all and the work y'all doing, man. And I'm willing to help whoever. So, you know, if you're hard in it, I got your back, you know, but I can't push your product, only you can.
Right. Yep.
Yes, sir. But that's what's up. We're gonna send you a No Cap t-shirt anyway.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother.
I appreciate y'all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You too.
No doubt. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You got another No Cap trivia?
Let's see. I told y'all I was gonna save the hype, so we can do the hype this time.
Yeah, you might as well do it now then.
Yeah, so oh, y'all don't be cheating either, man. You know me like that. You know.
They gonna be the
I know you out there
one.
trying to be sneaky. Don't do that.
They gonna be the first ones in the comments.
So, you know, guess my height. Now, should I give them a range? I gotta give them a range.
You don't need no range, man.
Well,
We giving them a nice bag, man.
yeah, oh yeah, you gotta work
You
for
know,
this
you
bag.
guess this, you getting a nice bag. You know, nice No Cap gift bag.
So that's a No Cap trivia for you. I'm Eazy's height. And we'll send you something special.
Yes, sir, man. No Cap Radio.
Yo.
We out.
Run it up. get the bag. Yeah. Run it up, all we know is get the bag. Yeah, yeah. I had to leave some people in the past. Yeah, yeah. I've been down bad, so low, didn't know what to do. I might ball out depending on my mood. I feel good. Shorty sexy, but it take a lot to impress me. You fine, not a necessity. I'm thinking longevity. Family. Financial freedom, that's the goal. That's gold. Break my generation's curses, Lord knows. Lord knows. I can't let these haters stop me. I can't let these haters stop me. You hate yourself, they tell you stop it. Stop. You love yourself, they call you cocky. Love yourself. Were no handouts, inheritance to pass down. Oh, none. My generation all about the bag now. Bag. The only beef I wanted was a cash cow. Let's get it. It's gon' hurt to reminisce, I might black out. Come on. Lost some people, but that's just the way it goes. In the hood, we live by a different code. Break the mold, take it through the ceiling. That's right. In my office, I used to clean the building. Let's go. Run it up, all we know is get the bag. Yeah, yeah. I had to leave some people in the past. Yeah, yeah. I've been down bad, so low, didn't know what to do. I might ball out depending on my mood. I feel good. Shorty sexy, but it take a lot to impress me. You fine, not a necessity. I'm thinking longevity. Family. Financial freedom, that's the goal. That's gold. Break my generation's curses, Lord knows. Lord knows. From the corner walking to the